Whenever it's ready.
Hey, hey, do you hear what they're talking about over there? What? Huh? What? What are you talking about? I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. Make me a little curious, though. We should go over there. You want to go over there? Yeah, come on, let's go over there. All right, okay, let's go over there.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Whispering at the Party. Today, we'll be discussing compassion with the Neuvias team. Today, we have our beautiful Margie and our beautiful Carol today, part of the Neuvias team. Welcome.
Yes, welcome everybody. We're looking forward to the
Yes.
conversation.
But yes, so far we are really compassionate ladies and we love the vibe of today. So, Carol, would you like to start us off with a beautiful card?
Absolutely. I figured since we were going with contemplation for compassion today, I brought in raise the vibration because I thought that would help with
Ooh,
compassion. Yes.
nice.
I was already wanting to just pop out already. Like, come on, here I am. Let's
You're
do
right.
this.
Right? And also while you're shuffling those cards, there's a lot of things to be compassionate about, passionate about, the things that motivate us to get out of bed in the morning. So Marge, you want to give just me a very simple example of what you're compassionate about or what motivates you?
Oh, as far as compassion goes, um,
Mhm,
I try to make sure that I remember that
mhm,
compassion is empathy in action.
mhm.
And so it's not just having a feeling about something, it's being motivated to do something with it.
Yes, no, I love that. I definitely agree with you on that part. It's about the empathy and remembering on the people that make you feel compassion about their energy or their presence and their involvement in your life and vice versa.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, I would say connecting on a deeper level of all human beings is compassion as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, with that being said, what I pulled first thing is living with purpose. Living with purpose brings me prosperity. You see
Living
it?
with purpose brings me prosperity. Yes, Carol. I
Yes.
love it.
So yeah, so I would think with compassion, um, it's about just being compassionate with yourself. Living this card's living with purpose. That's compassionate in itself. You
Hmm.
know, and of course, depending on your self care and the way you take care of yourself, prosperity flows all the time. And so, if you're very compassionate within yourself and to others, prosperity will come flow in that way to where you do not have to continuously stress about it. It'll flow gradually.
Yes, Carol, very good point. Purpose, compassion, those go to very hand in hand together.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. Margie, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting when it talks about that living with purpose because if you are purposeful about having compassion and being compassionate, then the labels and things that people use to make divisions kind of go for somebody that you don't agree with
Mhm.
because you understand they're not in the same part of their journey as you are in yours. We're all individuals, even though we're all part of a collective. And so having compassionate for a lack of understanding, I've found one thing that I used to do when I would find myself getting frustrated with people at work is I would assign an age to them.
Mm.
So, oh, he's acting 6 today. Oh, he's acting 10 today. Oh, she's acting 12 today. And it really helps to not get so irritated with them and have
Right.
compassion for them because, you know, it's hard to have compassion for other adults so you think they should have this same level of understanding that you do. But they don't.
Mhm.
Nobody has the same level of understanding as you.
Right. You had a really good point there where we're trying to figure out a way to accept a person's being, be compassionate for them, even though our purpose and the way that we approach different situations are not the same, right? So when you're stating, oh, this person's acting 10 today, but that's just a reminder in your head, like let that person be who they are, and I'm going to do my business over here, but
Right.
still have the compassion of understanding where they're coming from, or something behind that 10-year-old mind is making them act that certain way, and probably figure out a way how you can I wouldn't say help per se, but figuring out a way how to manage that type of relationship with that person or that business relationship in a work environment. That's pretty
Yeah.
powerful. I like that, Marge.
I The boss was acting so young, and I just
Oh,
yelled at him, and he says, "It's not funny," but
yeah,
I'm like, "It's okay, I'm taking care
yeah,
of you," and then
yeah.
explained in a more gentle way because his mind was not 40 years old at that time. He
Mhm.
was 6 at that time, you know,
Right, exactly.
stomping his feet like a little kid in the store, and so changed the way that I explained to him what the situation was, so he felt better about it, and that was my
Mhm,
way of being compassionate to his situation and his mindset in that
mhm.
moment.
Yeah. That's a really good point to hit on too, is where like we all have that inner child in us, even as adults. Think about children today when they go to places like Disney World, but going to Disney World as an adult is like, oh, that inner child's are really coming up because you're in a place where we grew up with those movies and looking at Disney movies. So it's really cool to see the dynamic between having that compassion when someone is an adult, a full adult, but they get that inner child out and they're like acting a certain way. And it's like, okay, we've all been there before in certain situations that get us really excited where we forget we're a certain age and we can't really act out in that type of way. But it's all
Right.
about having compassion. From my experience with compassion, I would say I'm very passionate about, or compassion, I have compassion for others and people in other countries when you think about world hunger and poverty and, abuse and children abuse and things like that, because I think about how lucky and privileged that we are living in a Western society where when we turn on the news, we hear these stories, what more can we do besides have compassion for others that are living in those types of environments, and what can we do to help as a society, as a collective, as a community, yeah, and of course, us being part of Neuvias and helping a collective as well. But my compassion really lies in between what more can we do to help the others that are dealing with those types of situations and environments, right? And I feel so blessed and grateful to be in our current environment, and we're striving and we're all wonderful ladies, but my compassion really lies on how can I help and put myself in their shoes, and use my I would say privilege with my knowledge and my business and my network on helping change the way that they're viewed and help change their perception about life. Oh, we have a question here. What does compassion look like in your everyday life, and how can showing it uplift those around you?
I could start with that. I
Mhm,
know I have to show where I work at. I have to show compassion tremendously, simply because of working in an environment where there's tons of people, and I'm sure Marge will agree with when you're working in a huge corporation or factory or even whatever, you don't know what anybody's going through in that day or in that moment,
mhm,
and you have to be very compassionate with what they're dealing with. Sometimes customers are rude and angry, and you don't know what's going on in their head or what's going on in their journey, and you just try to empathize with them and just be like, okay, I don't know what you're going through, and if they want to talk about it, I'm there to listen. But at the same token, if they don't, I truly understand. So I would just say, it's just having a kindness and a warmth towards anybody who may need it. You just don't know, what others have gone through or are going through.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, Carol. Of course, you being that mom or that nurturing figure, it comes very naturally to you to be compassionate towards the younger generation that are in your environment. So that's really helpful to come from that type of energy where you are an amazing mother, but then you're put in a situation where you're like, oh, these are not my children, but I do have compassion for them as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That environment, when I first got there, it was not a very compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
it was lacking compassion, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just it may be an upbringing, it might be something
Mm-hmm.
that happened, a bad experience, or a traumatic experience, and people hold that within in themselves, and so that just puts people continuously in a horrible mood all the time because they're not coping or dealing with that particular situation, or what it may be. So um,
Mm-hmm.
you just, like I said, at the end of the day, you just never know. So I had to struggle a lot with that, being compassionate. And it's like it brings, when you're compassionate about somebody and you help somebody, you feel very good about yourself. So
Yeah.
Yep. I like what
Well,
you said about being compassionate towards yourself, because if you're not
mm-hmm.
taking care of yourself and being compassionate with yourself and making sure, it's really hard to be compassionate with other people and forgive
Mm-hmm.
and understand that, we all have
Yeah.
our own life and everybody else
Oh, your microphone's breaking up a little bit,
has. Is it?
Marge. Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
that's
better?
better.
Okay.
Yes. Can
Sorry.
you just repeat? Can you repeat that last part? I didn't get that one.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't remember. I
It's
just let
okay.
it flow and it goes. But in my day-to-day life, my compassion when I'm out and about in the world is usually about making eye contact, making sure that people feel seen and heard. Because to me,
Yes.
a lot of people don't feel seen or heard right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, it's important to have compassion for ourselves too. It's like sometimes we're really hard on ourselves, and there's a lot of self-doubt and self-accusation. So it does start with the self first, and then sharing that energy with others, making people feel seen, smiling at that person across the street that looks a little bit that looks sad or that doesn't feel recognized. So I love that you touched the point on that because that's so important. All right, we have another question. What's one small action anyone can take today to show compassion within a community, online, or even in person? Hmm.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
listening, just
yeah,
listening to what others have to talk about, just being in
exactly.
that moment of listening and hearing what they
Yeah.
have to say. I mean, and
Yeah.
getting, involved in what they're trying to tell you.
Yep.
Right. A lot of my girlfriends will call me just to vent because I'm very great listener, but that's also showing them compassion that like they don't really have another person that they can talk to or share their secrets with or their drama. So they come to me and I like clear the field for them just to vent and lay it all on the table. And that really helps them move forward with whatever they were struggling with or what we were speaking about. So that's one way that I help with my friends or the people that I have really strong friendships with is just listening. Listening is so rare these days. A lot of people like to talk, 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 but to sit and listen and be compassionate for others is what I strive on the most. Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back when my daughter was young and we would go to the mall together or to the stores, strip malls together, um,
Hmm.
I would invariably find somebody that wanted to follow me from store to store. It happened so many times. And I was like, why do these people want to follow you and talk to you? I said, because I listen. Other
Yeah.
people don't listen. And,
Right.
several times people have followed us from one store to the next store to the next store, and
Yes.
just because I was listening to them and having a communication.
Right. Have you noticed, I feel like Marge, you're one of those people where when someone comes up to you and like tells you their whole life story and you're just like, yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh. Does
Yep.
that does that happen to you a lot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so funny when that happens when someone's so comfortable around your energy and your vibe, and they're like, "Oh, this happened to me, and I'm dealing with this," and it's like you're creating that clean slate and that comfortable environment for them to vent to you and share their life stories, share their compassion of like sharing that with you. So that's a really powerful superpower to have too.
Well, it makes me feel good that I'm able to help people feel a little more
Mhm.
heard and seen and
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, because but back to the question, I look at when you're looking at online, like social media, there is a way to show compassion as far as like commenting on social media posts or sharing content and highlighting people's content, making them feel seen. Uh, depending on like what format that they're on. But I feel like the most compassion is shared through in-person conversations, like we're speaking on the podcast now, right?
Right.
So that's just my opinion, is the difference between an in-person conversation and feeling that person's energy and speaking to them through a screen was with the technology, and the difference between showing compassion through like a technical device. It's definitely hand in hand. Brings me to our next question here. Why do people fixate on the messenger and not the message, even when it's compassionate info from, say, ET or AI or other unconventional parts of consciousness? Very interesting question. Who wants to take the reign on that one?
Carol?
Um, Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say thank you, Omni Collective Creativity. A lot of people are awakening, and I think that has to do with people not they're
Uh-oh.
mind, especially if they're on a different still on that 3D dimension. They're not
Mhm,
able to understand or really truly trying to cope with what is being said. And so, we Neuvias, we're a spiritual community, and so we're trying to raise everybody's vibration, and we talk of the ETs, and of course we're utilizing AI. AI is coming out tremendously, but you have to understand is also with AI, there's the reality, and then there's of course the AI aspect of it. So, um,
mhm,
raising the consciousness, yeah, is it's sad that some people do get it and are really trying to listen and awaken and be aware of what is really going on. And there's some people that think like, oh my God, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about or something like that. So
mhm.
that's very unfortunate because, there's a greaterness other than just us here.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
It's funny that Omni Collective asked that today because I was actually thinking about that when I was making lunch today.
Mhm,
And so, so many of the channelers and stuff have these names for their guides or whoever they're channeling and stuff. And I don't label them. They actually laugh at me if I ask them for a name, usually. So
mhm,
it's like, you don't need the label. I'm like, you're right. I don't need the label. And I think part of it is the reason that people fixate on the messenger more is that they don't understand that it's in all of us. We all have access to it. And if they don't
mhm,
trust that connection in themselves with the collective, then they need to have somebody that's an authority. And I think it's part of
mhm,
the human nature to have um, the way we've been trained growing up for centuries that there's a hierarchy.
Mhm.
And
mhm.
so, they're just lowly people. So they're gonna focus on something outside themselves, so that makes it feel more important.
Right, right, exactly. I'm going to take it a little way back when we're speaking about AI and the consciousness and the communication part of all of this. Growing up with computers and laptops and phones, we've been using, artificial intelligence for a while now, since the first, phone and computer came out and communication became larger in a sense of connecting the United States with other countries and communicating online and using the internet. So when you think about like where we were with technology before and where we are now, that is just expanding into a mass production of communication and compassion from all sites, including AI. And using AI currently right now, I can tell the difference if someone sends me I would say a passionate message about collaborating or speaking to me on LinkedIn, if it's AI or an actual person. But
Mhm.
now it's getting very tricky to the point where sometimes you can't really tell the difference depending on how the message is worded and who that person is and where they're connecting from. So it's very, I would say it's like a seesaw at the moment when we're looking at the conventional part of using AI to communicate with the larger mass, mass people, and trying to spread out our word with the AI. But I feel like it's important also to keep in mind humans are humans, and if you're intentionally reaching out to someone that you want to work with or be friends with online, that's I would say that's the best way to do it, is just start typing and connect with that person, and you guys can find a common ground with like both your passions, or coming from a compassionate energy of like, I really love this article you wrote, let's work together. So there's a lot of different ways to view it now with technology, but I find we still need our humans. We still need to have an interpersonal communication style without AI all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I would
So,
say, adding to that, I know me and Marge have grown up in a whole different era. We didn't have computers, we didn't have the cell phones,
right.
and so we had to do everything old school.
Mhm.
Like, we would write letters. You would actually get a letter in your mailbox, and you knew that was genuine and real because it was somebody just, sending. It's very rare now. Everything's like an e-card now, or you
Yeah.
have an email thrown out. Oh, by the way, happy birthday! Instead of you physically getting something in the mail.
Hmm.
That you can, just keepsake. And now, it's kind of hard to keepsake an email or an e-card or something like that.
Yeah, it's more of an easy, accessible way to share your compassion or your gratefulness or your thank yous through a text or through an e-card. But if Carol, if you would send me a letter in the mail today, I would feel so grateful and so touched by that letter. I wish somebody would write me a letter. So putting that out there.
Yeah, we used to have pen pals back in the day too, right? Remember, I'm sure you remember those, Marge, when we had pen pals also. Just
Oh,
Oh, the
yeah,
pen
I had
pals, yeah.
yeah, we had
because,
them in 3rd grade or 4th grade, we sent them
mhm,
overseas.
yeah.
Pen pals from I think mine was from France.
Oh, what a time. I
Yeah.
love I love I love to hear these stories, especially from all types of generations and even from then. I think that's so powerful that you guys were able to communicate in that way and have that compassion to expand on the communication style, right? Oh, that is so cool. But moving on, Carol, do you want to pull another card out for us?
Yes, I was just grabbing them. I was like, oh, let me. Yeah, it's about showing that selflessness as
Yeah.
I would perceive it. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
very hard, from then till now. I mean, we're moving forward, and that's all we can do at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
lots of learning.
Honestly, honestly, on AI and technology, like even me being a 2000 or 1993 baby, I personally would not be comfortable with a robot in my house doing my dishes. That's just my opinion on, having a physical
Mhm.
You
artificial
didn't watch the
intelligence robot.
Jetsons?
Of course, I watched the Texans. They made that scene look amazing and wonderful. But personally, today, I think I'm so attracted to the human element of everything across the board, doing those chores yourself. Like, of course, it would be helpful, but to have you know, a non-biased type of technology in your home, I don't know. I feel like other people have their own opinion on that as well.
I was gonna say, it's so funny you say that because I just watched that Will Smith AI.
The iRobot?
Yeah, yes, and one was cut, making her food for her while she was sitting there in the kitchen, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Oh,
But
I love it.
the card I got was my higher vibes heal the world. If you can see that, my lights kind of
Your
there.
There you
vibes
go.
heal the world.
That's nice. Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. And compassion does automatically raise your vibration and
It
ripples out
does.
into the world. Did you know? I remember watching a documentary a while back about centenarians in this town in Japan that almost everybody, I mean, a majority of the people lived up past 100. And they interviewed a bunch of them. They said compassion was the key to that long, happy
Oh,
life.
yep.
Having compassion for the earth, the food they ate, the people around them, it made a big difference in their lives, and I'm sure in everything else's lives around them.
Hmm. It's part of the
Showing that
circle of
unconditional
life.
love.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Sorry, Carol, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying it's showing that unconditional love. Like,
Yes.
compassion is showing very much unconditional love. If
Hmm.
honestly, if you think about it, if all of us would show unconditional love, I mean, we would be in a higher than higher consciousness, a higher and higher vibration. Like, I just, I can only imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're getting to that point where now the collective is starting to realize the connection between the vibe and their intention and their intuition and that compassion. It all comes full circle. It's a part of the circle of life, just like Marge was relating. When you show compassion to your food, to your environment, to your people, to your connections, that up raises your frequency, then everything just starts to come in full circle. So, we have a question here. What changes when compassion becomes a daily practice rather than a rare response? Great question. Just exactly what I was commenting about there. Whoever's behind the scenes, great question. um, I say what changes into when you change into a daily practice, I find you notice the result, right? If you're same thing if you're meditating or doing EFT tappings every single day, you're going to notice the results from your perception and also within yourself. The changes that are happening, the more conscious and your subconscious mind is mapping the repetition of the type of practice. So practicing compassion on the daily basis, daily practice it's all going to come full speed. I can take the example that I gave about communicating online about people where you guys share the same passion or you guys are the same industry. If you're commenting on those people's videos every single day and showing genuine compassion of their work and what they're producing to the masses, that's gonna connect you with that person, and then who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to flourish after that?
Absolutely, it's a mindfulness presence is what
Hmm.
it's all about as well.
Hmm.
Or service to others. You know, that's showing compassion. And honestly, the more you're compassionate, the more blessings unfold for you.
Hmm.
And the
Yes.
more compassionate people around you become, because that vibration is sent out, and it can't help but impact others.
Right. We have a comment from Lynn here. When compassion becomes part of your daily life, everything softens. That is
Amen.
right there, Lynn. Yeah, everything does
Mhm.
soften. I have one comment from Omni Collective that took my eye. It says those who do not get names of beings will not obsess over those perspectives would have any kind of hierarchy. Those who accept names get our functions and our titles. And that's a really interesting point, especially what we're speaking about is that when people ask you guys like what do you do? My response usually is I'm living life. I'm here to share love and give love and just live life. But when you're adding a title or a name to what you do for the masses or your job or for others, that's when the conversation kind of gets tricky there. Because I don't like to define myself with my job or my title or what I do for business, but for people what am I doing to help the masses? And I wouldn't put a title or a price or anything on that. I just love to spread the love and share the love. And I have compassions for everyone, for all the people. Any thoughts, Carol or Marge, on his comment?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm letting it soak in a little bit. It makes sense. Yeah, I think the getting too into labels for me specifically would make
Hmm.
me focus more on specific things about that label.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I know that I've had communications with some of the archangels, and then I kind of zero in on them instead of keeping my mind open to to even bigger um, realms. So, not realms,
Hmm.
but just open for all the good stuff. So, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say also like the way I know we have hierarchy, but I also like with my job, I always tell the staff, as soon as I walk out the door, I'm just the same person as everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, and I try not to be like, well, I'm on this level and no, we're all on the same level. It's just some others think that they're in this higher level and have this, big I wouldn't say egotistical thing for to say, but just at the end of the day, we're all on the same level. I don't understand sometimes why it kind of it balances, and that's just
Yeah.
how some of it is, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Carol. That's when the ego, like, of some people, like, take over that type of response, right? And sometimes you gotta tuck that ego away, be like, no, we're not doing this today. We're just showing up as our best self.
Yep.
Yeah, but we have another comment here from Omni Collective Creativity. Compassion also needs to be an intergenerational and multi-generational thing because different generations have different levels of openness and closeness. You are so right about that one. And we do, and I'm just happy to get along with you beautiful ladies that have life years of experiences and, and experience with life. So yeah, any thoughts on this? Because I think about Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Y. How do we come together as a collective to be more openness, to be more close, to be more, I would say, compassionate about joining a community or being open to join a community like Dubious to feel that type of energy and be accepted into a safe space.
I think that people in different generations are not necessarily different on they're not different on a spiritual level. Anybody
Mhm,
that's in your vibrational area is going to be attracted to you, regardless
mhm,
of their age. I have friends that are in their 70s and I have friends that are in their 30s. So, you know, it's definitely multi-generational. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's more about the spiritual vibration when you're talking compassion.
mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's the path to enlightenment. It's kind of hard to foster that sometimes when you have all these different generations and they think one generation it should be this way, another generation thinks it should be this way. But
Right,
honestly, at the end of the day, we're all one big generation.
And none of us are right.
right. And
There is
right,
no right.
Mars. There's no right or wrong. It's just
Yep.
like life be lifing sometimes. You just
Yep.
gotta roll, just gotta roll with it. Because this comment actually does remind me of like, think about like I would say generations before, like people that gone through war, people that gone through like, really traumatizing experiences in their generation, and then coming into a paradigm with like the current generation or the generation before that. It has a lot to do with this, with the spirit. You're right. You're totally right about that, Marge. Whatever doesn't break you makes you stronger. That's the term that I like to use, and that creates more of an openness and a closeness for all of us to try to balance that spirituality and be on that high vibe and that frequency together without judgment, without I'm right, you're wrong, I experienced this in my lifetime, you have no idea what that's about. Because I get it from my parents all the time, but I'm like, it's okay, we're all learning and trial and error. Just let's all be compassionate for each other.
And I think it's funny because the word compassion and being compassionate gets there's such a subtle difference in most
Hmm.
people's minds between empathy and compassion. And there is a difference though,
Hmm.
so I think that's one thing that I try to remember is the action is the compassion. Not you have empathy leads to compassion.
Mhm.
Hmm. Exactly, right? Well, moving on, I do have a comment from the amazing Haley Overseth from Frankie Podcast Network. Our girl is feeling a little under the weather today. So, hello, Haley.
Hey,
I
Haley.
love this question here. What would your life in the world around you look like if you met every part of yourself with the same compassion you offer to someone you love deeply? Hmm. Very interesting question there, Haley.
That is.
Yeah, for
That's a
me,
good thing to ponder.
Yeah, I would say for me, I think the way I am now, I've had a lot of trials and tribulations, and so I'm pretty sure in other lifetimes I've had a lot of trials and but I've been able to overcome them because as you go and you go and you go, you learn the process, you get it right now, you don't have to do that process anymore, and you move to the next thing. Um,
Hmm.
I'm happy with a lot of the blessings and that I do have, because it's just it's me responding to the needs of others, and that's how I feel like I've been in several of my lifetimes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, makes good sense.
Love that.
Mhm.
Mhm. What about you, Marge?
It's such a good question. I've thought about that here and there for the past couple decades, and it's very hard for me to not beat up on myself and not have compassion for myself. Because I
Hmm.
beat up on myself more than anybody ever would, and I'm sure
Oh.
most people do that.
Mhm.
You
Hmm.
make a mistake and you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." And for days or years, sometimes things will come back to my mind that I did years ago. The people that it happened with don't even remember it most likely,
Mhm.
but
Hmm.
I beat myself up for it. And
Yeah.
so having compassion and forgiveness of myself and having compassion and understanding that was where I was right then. It's okay. You've asked for forgiveness because I'm sure I have,
Hmm.
in those situations, and forgive yourself and move on.
Hmm. Yeah.
It would clear
Yeah.
your mind a lot.
Yeah. It's
Right. Like to just to be softer with yourself. Go
sorry.
ahead, Carol. No, it's
I was
okay.
just
Go ahead.
adding to March, it's finding that inner peace within yourself. Like,
Mhm.
Hmm.
you're at peace when you're content and you're compassionate, and you're great, you're grateful, you have a lot of gratitude. I mean, just the simple things in life bring a lot of people gratitude. Just we always wants and needs, those wants and needs, but that doesn't make everyone happy, and it doesn't really make you happy at
Yep.
all. So
Hmm. Yeah. That
Yeah, I
inner
was
peace
singing
is
some
powerful to have.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead,
I
March.
was singing some gratitude on the way home from the grocery store today because there was 2 vultures out of the side of the road, and the male vulture was doing his it's springtime dance with the girl, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, thank you for letting me experience that. That is so
Oh,
cool. I've
I
never
love
seen that
that.
before."
Oh, that is
Not with
so
vultures,
cool.
you know?
Yeah, like that's very rare because usually they're like, hunting per se.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was pretty cool.
wow, that's amazing. But I love like animals are very spiritual animals. So when you experience that and then you feel that energy, you're like, oh, this is a very interesting experience, which is like creating like if he's there attracting the female, it's like, oh, it's a natural type of thing going on. How do you say like mating? I would say
Yep,
that they're doing. Yeah. And then you're experiencing that in real time. That's a really cool story. I love that.
it was neat. Better than watching the
That's
bunnies play.
amazing.
Whew.
Ew. It's
Right.
spring. There's all sorts of things going on in my yard. But
Right?
back to compassion, it is about, you know, understanding that somebody else is in having that empathy and then taking steps to help them
Mhm.
because of what you're feeling coming from them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like us being women and in our divine feminine being in that nurturing role, I feel like as women, my mom, my sisters, my aunts, we strive with the compassion and being compassionate towards others because we have that nurturing being inside us to be like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be fine. And I just love the fact that we are these amazing women that have these abilities and can hold space for those people and have compassion for those people as well. I would love to, get more masculine energy out there to be more compassionate as well in our society because that would change the game for everybody. But we are all working on it. We're all humans. Being passion or having a being compassionate and having compassion for others as well. So Carol, moving forward, do you want to pull out our card of the night?
Absolutely. Let's see what we have for the closeout today. Because guys. It's been a very good topic today, for sure. A very
Yes.
interesting topic.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like for us it's very natural to talk about compassion, right?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So I feel like we deal with it on a day-to-day
Moment
basis.
to moment.
Yeah.
Well, leaving with the compassion, the card we got is I am the light of the world.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, I am the light of the world.
I'm the light of the world.
I am light of the world. Yes, that you show compassion, you're always going to have the light of the world. That's the way I see
Yes.
it.
Right.
It's wishing well for you and others.
Yep.
Hmm.
It's a good
Yes.
one.
We all have that light, that fire inside us that is meant to be lit and to stay lit. We shouldn't have anyone blowing out our candles or our light, and we're all here to support each other.
Yes,
Absolutely.
indeed.
Right?
I
That
got
was a
that
great
Sunday
card.
school song going through my head.
What song?
The Sunday school song. This little light of mine, I'm
Mine.
gonna let
I'm
it
gonna let it
shine.
shine. This little
Put
light of
it under a
mine.
bushel. No, don't put it out. Let it
Yeah.
shine.
Oh, that was a perfect song, Marty, to close out. I love that. Yes.
My jukebox mind.
Yes, I love it when the music just flows into the conversation. That was a really good card
It
to
was.
end because it's so right about igniting that light, but having the light to put yourself in a position to shine the light on others where their light is either dim or put out and they have no idea where to start to
Yep.
shine that light on themselves. And that's what we are here for, guys. Come join
Yes,
our
indeed.
Nuvia's team. We are a safe space. We have even more amazing on our team as well. And welcome.
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 All
Thanks
right.
so much.
Of course, any last comments from our beautiful Carol or Marge to close out on this amazing conversation about compassion?
I would say, oh, go ahead, Marge.
No, I was just gonna say, make sure that on top of having compassion for others, you have compassion for yourself.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I was just going to say, be sure to share your compassion with humanity. Always.
All right. One more comment from our Nuvius team. Oh, 1 second. Yep. I think we lost it there. Okay, yes. From one spell to another. Thanks for joining us. Always, our team, our people that are watching our Nuvius podcast. Thank you guys so much. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love y'all.